Paula, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so happy to see your smiling face, and it's
Thank
really hard for
you.
me to not make a comment about how beautiful your hair is.
Thank you. That was quite an adventure, giving up the hair dye back in, I think it was 2014-ish. And I just got tired of coloring it. And I even asked friends, what should I do? Should I just let it grow out? Like, because I mean, it was obvious that is what y'all had planned for my hair. And I was fighting it, and they're like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. And I was like, I'm glad I'm not depending on you guys for moral support.
Your friends
I'm going for
convinced
it.
you, your friends were trying to convince you to keep dyeing your hair.
Oh, there, yes, because that was the woman thing to do. It's like, oh, don't do it. But you know what? It's been really fun to watch different women pop up who have been brave enough to go ahead and just let it grow out. And I'm like, you see how your face glows? Like that is exactly the way it was supposed to be.
But it is the
Stop
color,
trying to
so like it is like bombshell. It is just like it is so beautiful, and it's the way that he intended you to be right now. And
thank you.
I
It
don't
it
know.
is. It's so funny because it was like bright. I would color it bright red. Bright red. The redder the better. Nickname Blaze. And then I went to blonde because the gray or the white started coming through so much, and then it was just like I give up. I don't need to fight this anymore. But I want to say thank you, Jenny, for I have enjoyed so many great interviews, getting to meet the speakers vicariously through your interviews. You have been such a beautiful connector in the community that seems small and large all at the same time. There's still so many people we haven't met yet. There's so many people that we have met through this network. And I'm so thankful that I've gotten to know a lot of people through your interviews and getting to talk to them and all the great things. So thank you for doing this. Thank you for it's inspiring. Y'all wants us to talk about our testimonies, and that's what edifies us and gives us breath and keeps us going. And you are doing that.
Thank you very much. It's really nice. It's really nice to hear because it gets hairy, it gets tough. I felt very called. I just felt called, and I just am moving by the Spirit and doing these, and I love it. I've met so many cool people, but there it is spiritual warfare every time.
Yes,
But I'm going to
every
keep going
time.
on because of all the reasons you just said.
Mm.
Listen, it's personally fun for me because I get to spend time listening to somebody's story, but the benefit that it has had to many people, like whatever, we have
Yes,
500 something subscribers. But I know for a fact that it's touching many people in ways that we can't even imagine. People who don't even leave comments, it's touching them and it's opening their hearts and their eyes, and everybody's story is different. And so thank you. And
yes,
I can't wait
yes.
to hear your story.
Man, have I been on a journey. I mean, crazy journey. But I want to say this. I want to read this scripture real quick to start us off, just because I read it this morning and it has meant, I was like, yes, that's it. That sums up my life right here. And it's in Deuteronomy 2, verse 7. It says, for the Lord your God has blessed you in all the work of your hands. He has watched over your journey through the immense wilderness. The Lord your God has been with you this past 40 or 56 years, and you have lacked nothing. And that makes me want to cry because that is God. That is our Yah. That is what He's done for us. Is He saw us through the wilderness from day one. And it's been such a beautiful journey. Difficult. Everybody goes through, the desert and the dry and all the things, but he's always been faithful. And so for me, I actually was born into a Mormon family. Yay, that's a crazy
Listen,
one.
you can talk about that as much or as little as you want to. This Friday, so coming out in 2 days from now. Sorry, I don't know why I talk about time because it's
Yeah.
always this will come out in a couple of weeks. But there's a sister who was raised in the Mormon church until she was about 17, and
Wow.
she shared a little bit. And I mean, there's stuff I had no idea. So feel free to share as
Yeah.
much or as little because it's a
So
whole.
I personally wasn't raised in it. I was born into it. My biological father committed suicide when I was 1.5, and then my mom got remarried when I was 3. So, and to a Southern Baptist. But I watched my mom go through the trauma. She was raised in it all the way up. She was 30 when she had me, and she grew up in it and she married into it. And I've heard all the stories and all the things. And, she'll say, I didn't ever believe it when I was a child, and I'd get in trouble for questioning things and all that. But, so Mormonism, I lived through my mom, watching her come out of it and all of the brainwashing that she just had to deprogram from. And that's been a journey. But I was actually the first believer, I guess you could say, in our immediate family. I come from a family of uh, 3 siblings. So there's a sister who's oldest, and a brother, and then me. And our dad that we got when I was 3 adopted us and raised us my whole life. So um, we were holiday Christians growing up. We would always go to Christmas Eve service, candlelight service. Then we would go to Easter service. We would participate in a few things. I loved the choir when I was a little girl, so I would get my family involved so that I could sing in the choir as a little girl and sing my little heart out. And then it was just like the older we all got, it was really just back to holidays. And then when I had my first baby at 22, God, God totally introduced himself to me in his face. Like, I looked at my baby and I said, there has to be something bigger to help me raise this baby. And that sent me on a massive search journey of, I bought a Bible and I started attending some services, and I got baptized, all the things. Like, I was on fire. And I even was so on fire, like they wanted to put me in charge of discipleship. But if you know anything about Sunday church and all that thing, they don't really have meat to help you like disciple somebody. And so they handed me this curriculum, and it never clicked. It never made sense to me. And I was like, I feel like I'm not giving them anything. Like, it just didn't make sense. So dwindled away, and um dedicated my baby and kept searching and kept going to church and doing all the things, trying to be the good Christian, doing the right things. Like, if I just do the right things, then, maybe life will turn out fairly good for me.
What were the right things then? If you were doing the Sunday church thing, what was the right thing back then?
That's a good question. Like, I was pretty wild before came to my salvation. I did a lot of drinking, had lots of boyfriends and all the things. And so settling down was important to me, and just starting a family. But unfortunately, what happened was I married an alcoholic, And I did not know what that was. I didn't know what that meant. I guess I was so naive. I was like, well, I can love you and I'll just love you enough that you won't have to do that.
Yeah.
And we ended up spending a lot of time at AA meetings. And I was like, what is going on? So my eyes were open, but in that season, um, fear embedded in me about alcohol. And so I raised my children out of fear of them becoming the alcoholic. And that wasn't because God is so much bigger. And we don't, I should have known that, but you go through seasons and you learn
Can you
and you
tell
grow.
can you tell me and anyone listening, Paula, like so I have teenagers. I don't know what I would do differently if I was worried, I have alcoholism all around me.
Yeah,
But not so close to home that I'm in that state of, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
what did you do
man.
that you wish you had done differently?
That's a great question because what would I have done differently? And I've sat my adult sons down and said, I'm so sorry that I raised you in my own personal fear of alcohol. And I didn't train you to know that God is bigger than all of that. And while we have to be mindful and we have to know that that is definitely something we have to pay attention to and be cautious about, it should have never been fear. But it was fear to the point where I like refused it to come into my home, refused for it to, and let me just say, the dad and I had gotten divorced, so that continued on the fear while I was not allowing alcohol in my home. I realized today that I don't have a problem. I mean, I could take it or leave it. It's really a non-point to me. But I do enjoy having a glass of wine, and I'll enjoy having a drink with some friends. But and it doesn't have to be so fear based that you teach your kids that, because they don't understand what are we afraid of. And I think that's where I even push them away in that respect because of the fear, and I push them away.
Could it have been different? Sorry if I'm derailing. I'm just really curious. So
No.
what could it have been different if it had been drugs? Like I had a conversation the other day with my kids about fentanyl because it's coming up a lot that there are teenagers and young
Yeah.
adults dying because they're accidentally taking this drug. So we
Yeah.
talked about it, and I think that's the thing to do. And I think it's okay if my kids are afraid of fentanyl and aware of it. So I'm wondering
Yes.
if because alcohol is just such a social thing, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes. But I definitely think there has to be a healthy awareness. Like I, was exposed to cocaine and whatever, but I never tried it.
yeah, yeah.
It was literally right there in front of me, acid, whatever it was, but I never tried it. I never felt the need to go there. Um, but teaching my kids, because we were in the church, I feel like we should have been able to go to the scriptures, but I didn't know how. I mean, I became a Christian at 22, 23, and like it was all new to me. And I was trying to deal with guilt and all the shame and just trying to recalibrate what that life looks like now. And like I felt so far from holy, and um so parenting under that guilt and that fear, and
Mm,
pushing my boys into they eventually started drinking but they didn't until they got out of the house.
mm,
And so it but I've come back to them and I've said, you You're a grown person and you can make your choices. You've seen what happened to your father and what it does. I don't want you to the fee because my middle child, my second son, he was just like, I didn't understand why you were so afraid of it. And when I had a drink, like it's just like the Garden of Eden, this isn't gonna kill me. Like, see, I'm
It's
fine. I'm
such a
not
good
dead.
point. It's something I never would have thought of because you create this like intense sensation around it.
Yes.
And
And then when they experience, they're like, see, it's
yeah,
fine. I don't know what your problem was all this time. And it was a rough road. So I ended up with a prodigal son who was promiscuous, you drinking, drugs, like didn't know if he was going to live. And that's a big part of my testimony in I love to talk to moms with prodigals and just empower them to walk it through gracefully. And I've actually written a small little article for the Set Apart magazine she's going to be sharing.
great.
But I love talking to moms because we can get so wrapped up in our children's stories that we don't realize that Yah is doing a work in them and he is working out their story just like he worked out
Yeah.
ours.
Yeah.
And the best gift that we can give our children is to live, choose life and not death because of what their choices are. And I think moms can really, really get wrapped up in their kids' stories and they can end up hurting the situation. But I have, like, Yah empowered me through that season. Like, he empowered my faith to a whole new level. And it got me to a place where I was completely empty. And I said, I will serve you whether he lives or dies. And that was it. And I had to let it go. And I had to choose life and he put a muzzle on over my mouth. He said, do you want him to hear you or do you want him to hear me? And I was like, okay, I'll stop talking. And sometimes that's what us moms need to do. I'm a talker. I'm like, let's talk this out. Let's get the everything on the table. And I was just like, no. I was not Torah observant yet at this point in my life, but I am in that wilderness journey where God is walking me through every day of that wilderness. And he empowered me with scriptures to like be strong and courageous because I'm going to be with you wherever you go. And so I did. And
I'm covered in goosebumps for the last 5 minutes now. As somebody again who has teenagers who are like my girl's 14, and then my son's 12, and they're getting
yeah,
the amount of time I spend absorbed in worrying about them, and
yeah,
I'm divorced as well, so they're right now 100 kilometers away. My son
yeah,
just took the city bus alone for the first time just this afternoon, and I'm like I'm on the verge of a panic attack. So
yeah,
and that's just the
yeah.
beginning. He's 12,
That's just the beginning. My hard days started, not to discourage you or anything, but my hard days started when they were 17, 18, 19,
Oh
20,
no, no,
21.
no. I thought we're just gonna get rid of the hard stuff now. No.
Well, do the hard work now. Do the
Okay,
hard
well,
work
if it's
now.
okay with you, Paula, I'm gonna come to you every time I need advice.
Well, literally, that is my passion. I love to talk to moms and be like, look, we love our kids. And there's nothing wrong with that. And us moms know how to love our kids and they can push us away and they can choose the things that we thought we taught them not to choose, but that doesn't define us. I'm still Paula Mackey. You are still Jenny. And I think that we need to remember that because if we get so wrapped up in their story that we lose ourselves, then we lose out giving them the gift of a mom who's living life. And I think that's one of the greatest things that we can give our kids is, you can choose what you're choosing, but I'm going to choose to live. And that'll be my example that there is life. There is a choice. And what you're doing, if that's the life you want to live, then I it's got to be separate from me. And there has to be a level of protection too, like not you have to pull, like when God put a muzzle over my mouth and he told me not to talk. Like that was the hardest thing. Like don't even text him and say you love him. Do nothing. I said, okay, I won't. But if you bring him through my door, I'm going to hug him and I'm going to speak blessing over him. And and it was few and far between in 2 years. But it was a beautiful moment for me to step back and just love him with affirmations. I wrote a journal and I said, and I would just speak these blessings over him. And then on the other side of this journey, when when God brought him back home, I knew I had to um, not have a bitter root. That was my command. Do not have a bitter root because then you can't enjoy when they return. And so my goal was I'm not going to be offended. When you bring him in my door, I will speak blessings over him in my mind because I couldn't speak it. And I would hug him and I would let him know through my actions I loved him and he was always welcome. And then he'd walk away and I wouldn't hear from him for another few months. But when he finally came home, because I didn't allow the flesh to fight against flesh, and I fought in the spirit, when he came home, we had some of the most beautiful conversations in what God had done in his life through um it was just how God had intervened in his life. And I'm not going to tell his story because someday I want him to tell it.
Mm-hmm.
But like just how God showed up and I shared with where shared with him my prayers and we would sit and we would talk for hours just and enjoyed it. Like we would laugh and we would cry and it was amazing. It was such a beautiful testimony of if I had allowed a bitter root to take hold, I would not have been able to enjoy that.
He might not have come back too,
He
right?
might not have come back.
Yeah.
And I knew that I needed to be prepared for anything, and God was going to sustain me, and He did very faithfully. There was a lot of times I was on my bedroom floor kicking and screaming and crying and just pleading, and I got weary from pleading. But you know what? He always sustained me. He always gave me another breath to keep going. And I it's like I said, moms who have prodigals, there you choose life. And in that choosing life, you gift your children with life. But I think a lot of times we get bitter, we get resentful, we get mean, and we build walls, all the things. But you just let him sustain you. And so in that beautiful journey, my faith grew leaps and bounds. Like nothing could shake me anymore. And I realized that in that, I was in a church at that time. Now I had remarried by this time. My boys were 8 and 11 when I got remarried. Um, and he's been my husband for the past 23 years. We had a daughter together, and he's like my everything. He has healed me. He has helped grow me and all the things. He's an amazing man. He's very patient. My boys loved him so much that they asked for him to adopt them because their biological father kind of dipped out, and so they took his name and all the things. But I'm kind of backtracking, but I wanted to include my husband in this, that he is such a rock and such a wonderful part of my life. And so after that season of 2+ years, walking through that, my faith growing, I realized that, not in a haughty or boastful way, but I realized that the pastors speaking did not understand that kind of faith.
Mm.
And that took me back. Like, how can I allow you to speak into my life? And I think that became very prominent in 2020. You know, so many things became evident in 2020. We were in a big, large mega church, and I just was like, I can't allow them to speak into my life, because if their faith can't grow my faith any more than what it is, then how can I give them a right to speak into my life? And so we kind of walked away when the doors closed to all the churches, and we decided we weren't going to go back. And, but we didn't know what y'all was doing at that point, where I was just like, we knew that there was an ancient path and that he was doing something different. But we didn't know what that was. My husband would dabble in the Messianic congregation that was close by, but that never connected with me. And so I would go with him, and we had a rabbi that we got real close to, but still it never clicked for me. And so for 5 years, we just kind of did nothing. I had one friend that we were like, why can't we go back to church? Isn't that what we're supposed to do? That was the question. Like, why aren't you in church? Like, because why would I go? I'm not going to take up a pew at this point. There's just something that's not matching, right? But I don't know what it is. I don't know what he's doing. So I'm going to just sit here and wait for him to show us what's next. And so my friend that I had, she and I were like, well, there's this ministry school we've heard some good things about. Why don't we do that? And we're like, okay. So we decided for the next 2 years, we would walk through this ministry school. And by the second year, we were like, ugh, this is definitely not it. This is definitely not it. But in that, we were introduced to more of the messianic mindset. We had some classes that were teaching us the Hebrew things, and I was like, okay, I like this. This is kind of cool. And so my husband ended up taking a Hebrew class through them, and he really liked that. And so but we're still like, but where do we go from here? And so we found another Messianic church. We went a couple of times, and it felt like it felt like Sunday on a Friday night. And I'm like, this is not it.
It's so close, isn't it? It's
It's
wild. It's wild
it's
how, like, you would think if you had mainstream Christianity, Messianic, Gentile, whatever you want to call it, and then people like you and I, you would think that these two things would be closer because these guys follow Torah too. But then you
yes.
realize that these guys and these guys are actually on the same path, and we're
Yes.
over here. Maybe it's like we're here.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And I was like, this is definitely not it. And so it's so funny. We saw some friends of ours from the mega church. We had visited a few times, and then we saw our friends. They showed up one Friday night, which was our last Friday night there. They didn't know that, but they're like, yeah, we're all in. We're coming over. We're doing this thing. We're like, good. I didn't want to be an influence on them not going, or like I knew they were on the right path. I knew they were going in the right direction, but I didn't know what was next, so I couldn't say don't go back there, but I needed them to see it for themselves, which they eventually did. And so again, we left. We were like, that's not it. I don't know what it is. And in 2024, it was like August. It was right after our daughter got married. Um, we decided we'd start eating kosher, clean, whatever. We're like, let's just go ahead and just start. I mean, y'all said to do that, so maybe we should do that. And my husband had done it before, but had returned back to eating all the unclean things. And I was like, literally, this was me. I was like, why would the God of the universe, the creator of the world, why would he care what I ate? And it was like a bomb went off in my brain. And I was like, because he is the creator of the world. That's why he knows what we're supposed to have and what we're not. And then I got swooped back into the garden. Like everything starts there. You can go back there and unpack that for years. And don't eat this. Just don't eat this. Why? You don't need to know why. Just don't do it because it's not food. And so we walked away from it. And then we started to realize the spirit behind it. Like there is a literal spirit attached to food. And when you tell people you're not eating certain things, it can get very awkward very quickly, especially down here in the South where there's a barbecue restaurant on literally every corner. Every town has at least one barbecue joint. And we like brisket. We'll take a brisket and that beef all day long, but it's so ingrained in this and the crawfish boils and just all. I never ate crawfish, but I did eat shrimp a
I'm
lot.
trying to imagine what a crawfish even is. Like maybe we have a different
Oh,
name for it. I never was into seafood. I loved my bacon, but I was never ever into seafood. A crawfish, they like you like I'm just imagining being a kid and like lifting up rocks and collecting these weird little leggy things.
they look like little lobsters.
Yeah, okay, but they're small.
Yeah, they're just
Could
tiny.
we up here in the north call them crayfish? I think we
Yeah,
call them crayfish. You call them
yeah.
crawfish. All right.
Craw
Anyway,
crayfish,
two.
crawfish, or crawdaddies.
Oh
They'll call
yeah.
them
Okay.
crawdaddies.
Okay.
But yeah, so we just decided to go ahead and stop eating it. But then our eyes started to be open to the spirit behind it. And I was like, this is crazy. Like there's really something to this. And so by the time Christmas came around, which that was last year was our first no Christmas tree up, and no Christmas celebrations. And I will say, y'all has been very faithful in disassembling all of my traditions through my life. And it started really about 2011, 10, 9-ish, when my oldest was starting to graduate and move off. And then, all the life changes started happening, and every single tradition was just obliterated. And it was, and I was very upset at the time. Like, I want traditions. Like, why can't we just have traditions? And this is what we always do. And, all the things. But he's like, nope. And then I try to start a new tradition. Nope. I was like, I was so sad. But so that did lead me to a place where it was much easier to let go of the Christmas and the Easter. and all the things that you like, people are like, you don't do Christmas. And you're like, no, we don't anyway. It's not in the Bible. And they're like, but the Christ is in Christmas.
But it
No, he's
opens
not.
up the calendar to actually be able to do what is in the Bible and
Yes.
participate in what's actually in the Bible.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. And that was the other thing was like the whole feast was very overwhelming to me before this year. And it was like, I just don't know how to do it. I don't understand it. It can be very overwhelming, but once we found a community to actually walk these things through, it has made it so much better. So tradition's gone. That's an easy, they're gone. We just have none as a family. I am a Grammy of five amazing grandbabies. Both my sons are married and have great lives, and my daughter's married, and we just don't have traditions. And their families all, do all go ahead, just go have fun with your other families. And so that's eased up the pressure for us. Thank you, because I think y'all knew how difficult that would be for any of us. And I'm thankful that I, honestly, I allowed him to, I didn't keep fighting him on it. I just went with it.
Well, and
Okay.
as you said, our children are working out their own salvation on their
Yes.
own, and if they come to be convinced that they're supposed to let go of the traditions, great.
Yes. Yes. That's the way you want it to happen. You don't want it to be a forced thing like, you really shouldn't be doing that.
Well,
No,
you
you
saw the
want them.
repercussions of your alcohol legalism. Like,
Yes.
it's still there. So for sure, you're
Yes.
going to put yourself in a position, okay, now I'm not doing that again. The Holy Spirit
Yes.
will be the one to let them know what's up.
Yes. And I think when, y'all put a muzzle on my mouth, he taught me this is the right way. You don't need to do that. And not saying I'm perfect with my mouth every time, because I am certainly not, and my blessed daughter-in-laws can attest to that. But I learn and I try to correct myself, and we move on, and it gets better. But so we are coming up on Christmas, no Christmas tree. My mom does live with us, and she's not there. And she was very upset and acted very depressed. And she's just like, they don't do Christmas, and all the things. She doesn't love Jesus. It's just all the accusations. Is like, no, that's not it. So by the time December, mid-December, my husband and I were having a conversation, and I said, why don't okay, we've gotten the dietary things down. Why don't we start looking at Sabbath? What does that look like? And so I don't, I have a small business. I can't do farmers markets on Saturdays.
Mhm.
And not that I can't, I don't want to.
Mhm.
But those are big money maker days. But I'm gonna trust y'all with my business, and he can make it what he wants. You don't have to do those things to be successful. Um, and so we started out the first of the year honoring Sabbath every Sabbath. And some people are like, well, that's a little legalistic, don't you think? And I'm like, no, it's like trying to explain to people that it is 100% out of love for our Father. It is His love language. It is how He wants us to spend time with Him and to honor the gifts that He's given us. Like when we give our kids gifts, we want them to respect it and not destroy it and just toss it away. And like, but that's what we do when He's gifted us this day of rest. And the first few months, it was kind of hard. It was like, what do we do? Like, what do we do with ourselves? And we would open up the scriptures and we'd talk, but it's still we were like, I don't know what we're supposed to be doing. Because at this point we didn't have a community. Still, for 5 years we did not have a community. And it was like two and a half months in, and the floodgates open. I don't know if it was because of the obedience, but it was, we have so much community now. So many like-minded people. I'm like, where have y'all been all this time? But we weren't there yet either, you know? And so it's been a really fun year taking our Sabbaths. Now there's a couple of them we've had to tweak some things because when I get my grandbabies, it kind of throws a little kink in it. But um, for the most part, and it's like supernatural multiplication in your rest on the weekends because we get through Saturday and then we're like, oh my gosh, we have all day Sunday to get yard work done and, bush hog. We have 10
Such
acres.
a recharge, and it's like thank you, Paula. You're making me think of, how you can buy like a knockoff phone charger and they take a long time, or you can buy like the real deal super expensive phone charger and your phone is
Yes.
charged like that. I'm just give me one
Yes.
moment. I'm gonna pause to let my cat in right there. I'll be
Okay. 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 So we have this massive community, right? That is now coming together and learning and growing and doing the feast together, and the blessing of the feast this year, though not perfect, and I want you to know that it doesn't have to be perfect. We grow and we learn and we can do better next year. And that's what this year was. It was a practice run so that next year we can do a better planning. Because when we started out, we didn't realize y'all was going to ask us to take so many days off for the year. It was amazing. We're like, we're supposed to not do anything again today. But just the amount of rest. So we're going to incorporate my husband's time off better next year than we did this year. But I wanted to read, a friend of mine got me this book. It's called Escaping Church,
Ooh.
A Guide to Life Outside the Institution. And there was some words in here that I feel like described my journey in the secular Sunday morning church. And it was so powerful because it talks about Egypt and how that Israel went to Egypt for a place of salvation and ended up not being that way in the end. And so I'm just going to read it to you. It says, Egypt was at first a place of salvation for the children of Israel. They fled there during a fierce famine, and it became the place of safety for the entire family. They lived for a time within the security of its borders and enjoyed relative peace. But as is always the case for God's people, staying in one place for an extended period of time soon changed it from salvation to bondage. And they found themselves enslaved by the upper class of the land, forced to do their bidding under the crack of a whip, and the oppression increased over time until it became unbearable. Something had to change. Father, in his mercy, sent a deliverer to lead them from bondage to the promised land, a land flowing with milk and honey. And I feel like we are sitting at the banquet table of the most pristine 7 course meal every time we dig into his word, more than what I consider today the fast food of Sunday morning. It is literally fast food. People are, yes, they're eating and it's sustaining them, but they are not thriving. And so it says the departure was traumatic, the journey was treacherous, but off they went in obedience to his call. At one time, the church was a place of salvation for many of us. There was a discovery of his presence who satisfied our hunger, and we grew in the faith there in one extent or another and found relative peace. But salvation became a place of bondage, and then and it was no longer that place for me. but I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know what that, I was like, this is all I've ever known since the day I, asked to be a part of my life. Like, I thought that's what you were supposed to do. And
Well,
that is,
and there are very few people who wind up on this path who haven't passed through church. But most people have their Jesus church moment before they.
yes, yes, yes. Because that's the natural, that's the thing in the world. That's the system in the world that they funnel you all through.
And
Well, this is,
I actually have a moment of regret today and repentance for, if you can believe it, having brought people to church. When I came when I came to Christ, or however we want to put it, I was so on fire and I mean, I was evangelizing immediately
yeah.
years ago. Can you imagine?
Me too.
I opened the Bible 2 years ago. And I was on fire and I wanted to tell everyone, but you know what? I didn't have anywhere to bring them. I brought them to the church that I knew. And I mean that
Yes,
backfired entirely. I don't have any you know how these things go. So I had a moment
yes,
of like, if I knew then what I know now, I would have just brought people a Bible instead of feeling like I had to bring them somewhere to get someone on
yes,
a stage to teach them about the Bible. You know, if
yes,
I had had Jesse in my life at that time, I would have welcomed them to my space so that we could all talk about the Bible together instead of bringing them into an institution that, now that
yeah,
I'm not part of their lives anymore, each one of them, just like your children, having to
yeah,
find their way in the wilderness on their own. They're each one of those people that I physically in my car brought to church is going to have to leave Egypt on their own. I can't help them anymore. So I had a big moment of like, it felt like the thing I was supposed to do to
yeah,
bring them to church, and also like, oh, I can't believe that I threw a wrench in this, like I've
yeah.
delayed their spiritual growth.
Maybe you think of it as a delay, but maybe that's just more time for them to marinate in their
And have
journey.
their own experience, because
You
some,
know,
like
the
yourself, are,
trail, the 40-year trail looked like this when they could have just gone like this,
yeah,
but they wouldn't have had all of the amazing things that happened,
yeah,
and seeing Yah move in the incredible ways that he moved for them on their behalf through that season. And that's like that
amen.
Deuteronomy 2:7. He was like so faithful. But it's crazy our journey. I too, when I came to my relationship with the Lord, I was just like on fire, but I had nothing to give to people. I didn't know what the church was giving me didn't make sense. But because I'm like, do you not just want all of this? Like, I don't know. I had nowhere to direct them. But having read and adopted this beautiful Torah and the journey that they took and all of the words that are so important, and what Yeshua just was like, know these things. This is how I want you to live. Well, that's it. Like, I could say didn't feel holy. I didn't feel, but if I had just been able to look at what his law was and not what the church was saying his law was, because we all know little Baptist churches are like, oh, don't dance, you might have a sexual thought or something. Well, that's not biblical. Dance before the Lord, show him. He likes a good party, but they're like, oh no, you can't drink, you can't smoke, can't do this, can't do this. And none of it is in his law. Are they
Meanwhile,
beneficial?
they're having cookouts, they're having sausage parties at the.
Yes, yes, yes. And I've worked in a couple of Baptist churches, okay? I spent 13 years and working in two different Baptist churches, and things just didn't add up. And the whole tattoo thing, I got a tattoo, not going to get any more, but they were like, "Oh, you can't have a tattoo." I'm like, "But what about all the rest of it? Like, you're so harping on that one, so then none of it matters."
Leviticus is a real funny book because in
Yeah.
Leviticus you've got tattoos, you've got homosexuality, you've got tithing, and you've got the food laws, and like
Yes.
they're only taking what's convenient.
Right. Exactly. That's why I was like, that then none of it matters. Like, then I can get a tattoo because if you're saying that that's the only thing, then you make no sense. And I'm going to go get a tattoo. So I did when I turned 50. So, me and my rebellions. My kids were like, "What?" Because that was the rule in the house: no tattoos until you move out of the house, because you at least need to be old enough to know what you're going to put on your skin.
Well, I will tell you, I am covered in tattoos, and I regret every single one of them.
Well, I actually really love mine, but yeah, I don't like. I'll never get another one. I had dreams of adding to this one. This was for my first four grandbabies. I have five now, but it's Psalm 91:4. You know, he covers you with his feathers, and feathers have been a big part of my life, my entire life. And so I was like,
But I
that
have
just
Paula,
speaks.
I have really yoga kind of bad news tattoos. I don't have anything that edifies. I have this one here that's a flame. So even though I never show this part of my body, I'm like, this is my fire for Jesus in my heart, but
Yes,
it wasn't
yes,
all that.
that's good. But
My
you know
my
what?
father-in-law, my
It's part.
father-in-law has Jesse's dad has scripture tattoos and like
Wow.
nail holes, and like he's got Jesus tattoos all over his body, and
Well,
it's pretty
you
cool.
know, I don't know all the ins and outs of the whole tattoo scripture yet. It's not something I've dove into, but you know, it's part of our testimony,
Amen.
and it can speak. Yours can speak to somebody for sure, and it can start a conversation with somebody who might resonate with those, and you can explain to them what Yah has done in your
It
life.
has happened where I get a
Yeah,
compliment on my tattoos, and then I say, "Oh, it's part of my old life." Oh yeah, what do you mean? And then it does bring a conversation of
yeah,
how my life is completely different. I'm a new creation in Christ. It has happened many times.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I wouldn't pay the money or go through the pain to get them off for that
yeah,
reason. They're there, it's done.
yeah. They're there. I'm not going to waste money trying to remove it, but it's all good. Um, so on my journey, I have realized something that I really want to point out, and that is the world systems. Um, Long ago, I disconnected from the health system, and I was ingrained. Like, I had somebody natural show up in the emergency room when I was dehydrated. I was pregnant with my second child, and she was like, you really shouldn't be doing antibiotics. I was like, get out of my room. Like, if I can't trust the medical field to take care of me while I'm pregnant, then why are you in here? Why, if you don't believe in it, why are you here? Those were my questions, and they were honest questions. But at that point, I realized that was the first disconnect, in that they aren't connected to their people. They aren't looking at you as a whole person. They're there to give you a easy button. And then when my boys were getting adopted by my husband, I had to do a lot of Social Security trips, and that became a nightmare. And I thought, if our health system becomes Social Security like minded, I would rather die on my bed in my home than ever in any of their hospitals. I need to know something else. And so that was the government system, the food system, the medical system, all of those kind of all at once dismantled for me, and stopped voting because I don't believe in the system and I don't want to participate in the system. It's
Amen.
all
This
a
is my
sham.
first year not voting too. I finally allowed myself to just be like, I don't live here anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like, I'm done. Like, it's going to be what it's going to be. My king rules. it doesn't matter who's in office. And my vote really doesn't count. Like they can say, "Oh, but your vote does count." No, it doesn't. They're already ruling everything. And some people are going to be really mad at me for saying that, but it is what it is. I broke away from the government, broke away from food, like realizing our food system was so broken. Like, why should we ever go to the grocery store and pick something off the shelf that has antifreeze in it or so many bad things? Like so many bad things that they're just putting in the food just
And I can tell you
because.
too, Paula, because I live in Canada and I'm in the States a lot. And when I bring products from Canada down to the States, Jesse looks on it and he can't believe how few ingredients are in our products. So even though Canada has its issues, we have way less junk in the majority of
That's
our processed food. It's
that's
very
amazing. That's amazing. And it's so frustrating. Like that should never be. Like grabbing some chips off the shelf now or cereal, like that was kind of staple foods growing up. And now today you cannot do that. And so that dismantled. So now I've got to start reading labels. Got to start go into the local farmers markets. I we bought 10 acres. I've got to learn how to grow food, herbs, all the things. Um, and but the next system in 2020 was the first step away from the religious system. And I realized it's a system.
yeah.
It's no more different system than any of the food. Like you've got all the people talking about the food and the health care and all of that, and but they won't touch the church system. And I it has each pastor that falls, and I'm like, how can so many people be so deceived? How can it be? And I would say, how can it be so wrong if so many people believe it? And I didn't understand that, but it that 5 years wandering alone with no fellowship was God's way of removing that system from us. And once the further I got away from it, the more my eyes were open to hearing the empty sermons that are just give you a couple of scriptures and some stories and call it a day. Check here, write a check and just give it to us and we'll handle it. Convenience. We are crippled in our convenience, in our food, in serving other people. Like convenience is killed us. And it's no different in the church system. And I could not participate in it anymore. And that I know that shocks a lot of people because I was so involved. But it just when 2020 happened and I saw them coming in line with the government, I was like, we sit there and we preach, we are healers, we believe in miracles. We, you preach these things and we are not the hospital for these people who are emotionally crippled now because of all the fear that they're putting out there. And you're feeding it by making everybody stay separate or talking about masks from the pulpit. I'm done. I am not going to participate in that anymore. I don't know where he wants me, but it's not here anymore.
What a
And then
year that our father used that, whatever plans and stuff, whatever nefarious stuff was going on. I believe that he used it to wake up the masses, to just wake everybody up, whether you were in church or whether, like myself, you were in the New Age. And
yeah,
like, I was going to the trucker convoy up here, and then I was meeting Christian. Like, why are there Christians everywhere? And just seeing how I had the same values and morals as Christians. That was my big
yeah.
wake up call during that time of year. And he just shared
Yes.
everything. And then in a lot of the testimonies that maybe you've seen, then people are at home, they have no more church. Well, they've got to read the Bible for themselves. And that's the moment they're like, hey, wait a minute.
Wait a minute. What? What? Why haven't I ever read this before? And I've recently, heard all the things. Why in the world do we think that picking up a book and starting in the back half of the book and feeling like we can know the story just by reading the back half? I'm like, mind blow, but I just trusted the system. Like he went to school, he knows what I need to know. I mean, and I that's a lazy approach, but
And it's the same now
90,
that you're mentioning that. So we're putting our faith in the pastor or in the doctor or in the teacher at university or in the president or in the mayor or
yes,
instead
yes,
of the one we're supposed to put our trust in, the only one we're supposed
exactly.
to put our trust in.
Exactly. It's a fast food, it's convenience, it's convenient. I don't have to work real hard at studying all this stuff and knowing all this stuff. I'm just gonna check Republican and be done with it, you know? It's just convenience. And that robs us of really knowing our world. And they make us really busy to want the convenience because when you don't have a Sabbath, you're exhausted. And Sundays, I watch my kids, my one set of kids that tried to do the church thing with their kids, and it's like I was like, why put yourself through that? I mean, it's a nightmare trying to get everybody ready and into the car, and then you spend all day there, and then you have to come home and fix food and or go out to eat and come home exhausted, and everybody's cranky because they haven't had their nap. And you know I'm like, this can't be what God intended for us to have. And so they've stepped away. Like, y'all will provide, he will provide, and you just wait until he shows you where to go in that. But systems are a part of our world, and the more you unplug from one or the other, you're going to realize. Um, but it's very, very hard to get people to look at the church system that is just as corrupt. And it's just enough to keep people satisfied. McDonald's is just enough to keep you fed, but not nourished. It's enough to get you to the next meal, but it won't sustain you. And that is how I have felt like this. I don't even know what to call myself. I love the Torah. I love the whole Bible. I don't need I told my mom I don't need a name. I don't need a label. I just want to do what God has said in his Bible. Just do that and we'll call it a day. Like, that's all I want to do. And Christmas isn't in there. Easter isn't in there, but there are beautiful appointed times that point you to those events that we are not taught about. And that is so sad. That makes me so sad for so many people out there that the standard comment is, well, that's just for the Jews. And I'm like, okay, well, they're one tribe of Israel. How can it just be for them? And and if I'm reading Torah correctly, Jews aren't even a part of it in the Torah. I mean, they're one of the tribes. They're one of 12,
Yeah, but
okay?
as we know that just that word and that term has become so ubiquitous that people, we don't even really know what it means. Is it people who are practicing this religion? Is it
Right.
so
I
it
mean,
and
there's
that's
so
by
much
design.
confusion.
Yeah, for
There's
sure.
so much confusion around it. And it's like it's like opening up a can of worms when you say anything about Judaism and like what we're seeing that's not, it's a mess. It is a mess.
On
And
purpose, again, that all of that
yeah,
confusion. And you're just making me think of how obvious this is when we shut down the entire world for the worldly holidays. That should be our sign that we're not on the
Yes.
right track.
Yes.
If the whole
Yes.
world is doing it, friends.
And that was our thing last Christmas. I was like, atheists, they celebrate
Yeah,
Christmas.
yeah.
Yeah, but they don't celebrate Christ. No, it's no. Just no, it's not. If the world says and does it, then do the opposite. That's the right way.
And that's it. I mean, when we talk about the masses, so I mean, mainstream Christianity is the most popular religion in the world.
Yes.
Masses are very rarely right. The masses are never right. And when the Bible talks about the broad path which leads to destruction versus the
Yes.
narrow path,
Yes.
and that's a hard, I mean, that's a hard one to
Yes.
see when you're in it because you do
Yes.
know that the truth is the Bible and the truth is the Messiah. We know that. So then how, if that's equated with Christianity for the most part, we must be on the narrow path.
Yes.
It's all there. It's all in that.
It is all
I'm super
there.
excited because I had a rough day as I was telling you, and I had this waiting for me, and there's a new Bible in here. Not that I need another Bible, but there is a Bible in here.
Can you have too many?
You know, we were talking about that too. The day may come when we're gonna hold on to one and give the rest up to the people who didn't hoard them. So
That's
my
right.
mother-in-law goes to Goodwill and she stacks up on Bibles and she's given me a bunch. I've got many, but we
Oh, it's beautiful.
started. I'll invite you if you're keen to do
Yes.
it. But we're doing a maybe I shouldn't say it. Anyway, we're doing a Bible, like a fellowship where we're going to color in, we're going to do Bible doodling in the margins of our Bible and just
Love it.
gather on Zoom.
Yes. Yes. That sounds amazing.
That's
I
what
love it.
we're
It is the narrow path is, and so when I realized that the medical system wasn't going to serve me or my family, I needed to know what to do. And so, like a lot of people, started out in the whole essential oil world. That kind of opened up my world to herbal remedies. I really loved that. And I did that. I grew a very successful business in that, but realized in learning about the plants, essential oils is just such a small part of a plant. Like it's just one constituent. And so I started broadening my understanding in how tinctures can actually encompass all of them
doing.
and put all of the powerful medicinal properties in one drop, really.
So is that what's behind you on the shelf? Is that your
Yes.
source of business? Is you make
Yes.
tinctures? Do you make them with vodka, with alcohol?
I do. So I started my business with elderberry syrup.
Oh, so good.
And it was really just a hobby. Like I would make it 2 or 3 times a year. I'd be like, "Hey, I'm making a batch. Who wants some?" And I do use some essential oils in it rather than the dried herbs. But that's just how I started, and everybody loves it. So but then it just grew and word kept getting out and I kept selling more and more and more. And I was like, okay. And then I started growing some herbs during 2020 um and realized, I can take this plant and make a tincture with it. That was lemon balm at the time. So that was my very first tincture. It's very good for calming your nerves. Everybody needed that during COVID. And bottled it up and gave some away and kept some for us. And then I had another customer that got elderberry, and she's like, "Hey, would you do some hawthorn? I've got some circulatory heart stuff I really need some help with, blood pressure." Um, I was like, "Sure, I'll do it." So I got me some organic herbs and started making her tincture, and then it just was one after the other and has grown into Mackie Meadows. Now I ended up naming my business and creating labels and started open my website, and I love it. I'm
Oh,
having
and
so much fun.
you must see this as, and this is maybe a conversation for another time, something that's very much on my mind as somebody who, like, I left the world of New Age and I was an Ayurvedic lifestyle consultant. I did Ayurvedic massage with a lot of different herbs. And when I left in a panic. I left very scared. I had read Deuteronomy and I was like, I just left everything behind. So I
Yeah.
admittedly have big question marks on what
Yes.
is New Age and not. So,
Yes. And
um,
I had the same questions, especially when I stepped into essential oils and I was
yeah,
like hearing about frequencies and things like that. And I was like, but you know what? Here's what I came to realize is that the world can corrupt anything that y'all wants to give us as a blessing.
yeah, yeah.
That doesn't mean it's a curse and that it's corrupt. People do that with the Bible all the time. You've got terrible controlling preachers out there using scripture out of its context. So anything taken out of its context, its original design can be corrupt and take you don't we don't want to worship created things. We want to worship the creator. And he created our bodies. This is what I always say in any of my classes. Like, I'm not here to heal, diagnose, or treat anybody because you know what? Yah designed your body to do exactly what it needs to do. Your body wants to live, and the spirit within you wants to help you do that. And so, but these things come alongside and help your body do what it already does naturally. And in that, there can be some healing and some, better outcomes with what we're dealing with.
So
But
you can use them as support, and we do continue to pray for supernatural natural healing, and that's
yes,
awesome and exactly what we should be doing. But there's no sin in taking products that
no,
come from the earth.
no, he brought us these herbs. There's healing in the leaves.
And there would be like we would have to, I think we would have to make the argument that it would be preferable to be taking natural medicines rather than synthetic.
Yes. And our bodies will tell us that because of all of the side effects that end up happening to people. I can't take synthetic antibiotics, and I have not taken one in almost over 12 years. I have not had a synthetic antibiotic. I've only used natural. And that was at a point where I was like, yeah, Lord, I need you to tell me, I know there's something better. And he walked me through it and showed me. And when I saw, typically a sinus infection would turn into a 6-week ordeal because I would go 2 weeks feeling completely miserable and horrible. And then I would give in and go get my antibiotic. And then that would make me sick, very sick, and I'd have to recover from that. And it was typically a 6-week process. And I used oregano oil for 3 days and was completely better.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, there's
No,
something to this.
and we know we've seen it a million times where you get hooked into the medical system and you just get sicker and sicker and they profit off of it. Like you said, this system of just creating business.
Yes, yes. And they're truly not trying to heal us or fix us. They're trying to get us to I mean, my mom is of the generation, give me a pill so I can keep living the way that I want to live.
Hmm,
I
hmm.
want to keep eating the things that I want to. So give me something to make my blood sugar be low so that I can still eat what I want to eat. That is across the board, a lot of people that they just give me the pill so I can go about doing. I don't want to have to think about what I'm eating. I don't want to have to think about, and it's a shame we live in a world that we can't trust our food that should be our nourishment. But even the ground is so corrupt now that even things that we grow aren't as nourishing as they once were, like in the garden. So I think that, I we talk about end times and what that's going to look like and the tribulation. And that was another thing in the church that really threw me, was like, this tribulation, pre-trib rapture thing is creating a bunch of passive, I'm not going to be here, what difference does it make? I want to be prepared. I want to be prepared. And so if I can't do anything else, I will be the medicine woman. And I want to have that. I'm a helper. So if I can help people get better, then I will do that, because this is what he has provided for us. That will be my testimony. When they need something, I will tell them. I get to tell them about Yahweh and all the incredible things that he has done for us and provided for us. And um and I'll just be the medicine woman.
I
And
have,
I love
I
it.
have 150 more questions for you, but we can save that topic for another time, I think, because it's so just wondering what's on that shelf back there of yours.
We got lots of things, lots of fun things. And yes, I would love to talk to you more about all the different things, because we do oils like this is a comfrey oil. So if you break a bone, its nickname is knit bone. So it will literally knit. You wouldn't want to use it on an open wound because it could close it up and the infection could get locked in there, but it'll ligaments, torn tissue, bones. It's a powerful plant. Like, his plants are so amazing and beautiful. And a lot of them that they consider weeds are truly the
I
medicinal
know that's
ones.
the funniest part of all of it. That's the
But again, that's the world. The world has taught us they're weeds and they're not.
So do you have
So
I assume you have a now I'm remembering that you are on Facebook and I saw ages ago your page, but I imagine you have a website. Do you ship out to people
I
across the
do,
country? Do you ship into
all over.
Canada? Okay,
I
great.
have not shipped to Canada, but I'd be open to try it. I don't know what that looks like, but absolutely.
Amazing. Wow. Wow.
Yeah. Or I could send it to Jesse and you could get it from him. Is he
Yeah,
here?
he's still there. Yeah, he's stuck there. My country don't want him back. We're working on some paperwork from years ago when he was not quite so law abiding, but we'll get there.
Just walking through the hoops.
We all
So
have our testimonies, right? We all
yes, we do. We do. And I'm just so thankful. So I'm at a place where we are diving into the whole word, applying the whole word, and I literally feel like I'm having a 7-course meal of just pure nourishment. And and I'm so thankful. It's been such a blessing to get this side, and even in that journey of faith with my son, and watching my adult children grow up and move on and do their thing. And um I'm just very I'm at a place where I'm just so thankful to keep learning. I don't ever want to become stagnant. I don't ever want to get to the place where I feel like I've learned it all. And if we're not growing, if we're not pursuing more, because we'll never get through all the layers that Yahweh is and has for us.
it,
There's no
it
way.
still is. We know every time we go back and read that one book that we've read 10 times, you see something the next time too. It's the word
Yes.
is absolutely alive. And as we evolve on our paths, it just gets richer and richer. I often think like I don't read novels. It's really great that you have that book. And if you can remind me, send me the title because that looks good.
I will.
But I don't have a need for books in general. Like, well, I have
Yeah.
1,000 Bibles here, but there's so much in the
Right.
Bible that it's like, when does
There
anyone
really
have
is.
time to read anything except for the Bible again and again?
Yes. And it's been such I've got a couple of ladies in a private chat. We're walking through Seeking Scriptures. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Seeking Scriptures, it's Christy Jordan. She's actually from Alabama too. But she walks you through the whole Bible and with a heavy Torah mindset. And I'm watching these ladies who've been in Sunday church their whole being, that's just what they've always done. And they're like, I had no idea that the Bible was so fun to read. And she does. She makes it so fun. She breaks it down into 2 or 3 chapters at a time, and then she just kind of lights it up and and points you to other scriptures that ties it together and makes it easy to read. It's and just brings new life to it. And I've loved watching them experience it from their perspective. And I'm excited to bring some more people along and enjoy the journey with me, because let me just say that if you think Paul contradicted Yeshua, then maybe we need to reevaluate how we're reading Paul, because
Yeah,
that seems to
that's
be an
it's a slippery slope. It's a funny one because I mean we know he was Torah observant. There shouldn't be a reason to. And I
ever
see
question that.
every day or two I see a new person put that accusation against Paul, and then a couple weeks later they're not so sure about the New Testament. And now they're not even so sure about the Messiah. Then
Yeah,
they denounce Christ and they're
yeah,
into Kabbalah or something. It just happens again and again. It is a very
yeah,
narrow path, and you can
yeah.
fall into a ditch real easily.
Yeah, you really can. And my husband and I were talking about that too. There's a movement of deconstructing your faith.
Mhm.
Well, I feel like I went through a lot of unlearning to relearn. I never wanted to walk away from my faith, but a lot of people do, because they feel so lied to and so betrayed and so misguided. But honestly, if we own up to it and realize that we have responsibility for us, and it's really nobody else's fault that we trusted them over our own eyes to read the Bible, right? But it's not their fault. The system's there, and like Egypt was a place for Israel at one time, a place of safety, and maybe you can just see it as a journey, but don't get stuck there. Don't get
What's that?
you
It's
don't
throwing the bath out with the with throwing the baby out with the bathwater, right? I don't know if you came
Yeah.
across a post from our sister Eva Silva today. Did you see the
I
steps?
do.
Um,
Yes.
and it's what you're talking about. And I imagine some
Yes.
people could get, I don't know if I'll be able to link it here. People could get stuck at step two and then just leave the faith
Yeah.
entirely because they're so mad that they were lied to. But of course, like it's in the Bible. We know that the enemy corrupts and we know that the enemy is a master counterfeiter. So he's gonna
Yeah.
take something that looks like the truth and twist it and make it look real.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's why you got tricked, but
Yeah.
the truth is still in there. It's still the same
Yeah.
Bible.
Yeah. Yeah, and we are ingrained all through our life to trust those who have been educated. Trust the ones that went to seminary. Trust the ones who got educated. If you can't trust your pastor, I mean, who can you trust? And just like in the emergency room, if I can't trust my nurse
Yeah, but
to,
then you're the living proof of it. You decided to, I think because we are called to be set apart. I see that shelf in the back there, that's your way to, obviously right now, who know we're October 29th recording this. Who knows what is on the horizon? Like we
yeah,
need to
yeah.
have faith in our Father and be
We
separate.
do. We do. And he gave us there, it's a tool. It's a tool, and it's not all the answers, and it's one of the answers. And it's going to help, and it's going to support your body. And if nothing else, it's going to help you get to the next level. And I feel like modern medicine just leaves you chasing the next supposed option, and you're chasing side effects, and like and honestly, I don't do mammograms. I don't do female visits. I'm not, I am not going to go on a witch hunt on my body because I believe Yah is going to tell me if I need to know something. How many times have you heard the story? Well, if I hadn't have fallen and gone to the hospital and had an x-ray, I would have never known this was even there. Okay. That was the timing that y'all wanted you to know about it.
Yeah,
And and that's just me. I don't, that's you do you. But for me, I'm not gonna go how I had one mammogram and I thought, this is not good. This is a horrible. Now I know that there's other options. There's the beautiful radiology type thing, the red light or something. Anyways, I just don't want to go on a witch hunt for my body, but I will support it. And if I know that I need something, then I believe that y'all is going to show me what I need to know.
that's well
And
said.
he's been faithful in that. And then at that point, I will go get help. I had broke my wrist a couple of years ago in January, and I went to the little doc in the box, and they all thought I was an abused woman. They were treating me like, how did it really happen? I was like, I fell on the stairs. It's ice outside, and anyways, I took care of it. I mean, I needed an x-ray. I needed to know what was the damage and how I needed to handle it. And I got that information and I came home and I took care of my hand.
I guess the point is there's a time and a place, and when we
There
can be
is.
grateful for, Jesse often talks about how, so his testimony, so he had a very bad car crash and he woke up in the hospital and his leg
Yeah.
was shattered. I mean,
Yeah.
he had a metal, he
And
still.
you need medical help, but there isn't an oil or a tincture or anything
And
that's going
that's
to
that's
help.
very, very different than consuming boxes and boxes of pills every day in order to sustain your life. It's not the same thing, and
It's not the
normally might be
same.
different for everybody, but
Yes. Yes. But people want to say one or the other. They don't want to look at the different levels of when you might need care.
because that's a
And
lot of work, right? Like then you're talking about subtleties, and I think people really
yeah,
just like things to be black and white, and that's why,
they
we
do.
we get accused of being like all law, and then like
Yeah.
grace and law. It's like, well, no, guys, we
Yeah.
need it all. We need
Yeah.
everything.
We need it all. We need great. It's the spirit and truth.
Amen.
You need the spirit and truth. You need the grace and the law. Like you need them both. That's the beautiful marriage of the whole thing. And and Yeshua was the perfect picture of that. And walking out the law, but being so loving and kind and hey, you know what? Go and sin no more. That means go follow the law. And you're going to have blessings and life when you do. And that's what he was saying to the people. Just that's all you got to do. And it's not these religious rules that they put on people that create guilt and shame. Yah's laws do not cause guilt and shame. They give you a path to repentance. There's a forgiveness, and then there's a beautiful path into his presence when you do that. But the church, it's guilt, it's shame, and it's burdensome. The yoke is burdensome. And it was never, ever, ever supposed to be that way. And that's why when I came into my relationship with him and entered the church, I spent my 20s completely depressed as a new believer because I felt so much guilt and shame. Like I don't even know what it means to be clean. Nobody explained that to me. And so how much am I supposed to pay the price for all of this?
It's upside down.
And
That's what it
it
is.
is
All
it is
upside
so upside.
down.
Yes. And so how do you know? Like back when I was trying to disciple people, it's when you have Torah
Yeah.
that you can walk them through and you can see his graciousness. He is filling them with the spirit to empower them to be creative and do the things he's asked them to do. And it's all right
It
there.
is. It's a very clear path. I wasn't in church for a long time, but I often just felt like, okay, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What's going on
There,
here?
what's the
Now,
direction? What's the
straight
direction
ahead.
I go in?
Don't look to the left, don't look to the right, just go straight ahead.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes. And it's just so, I feel so empowered today that I want to just have all the Bible studies with like pointing at people to his word, and the Torah is just beautiful. And just stop ignoring it. It was for us
Yeah.
just as much as it was for the other 12 tribes. It's for us, the sojourners, the people that, are wandering in. Hey, you know what? I want to follow that God.
Yeah, and if you want the covenant promises, you got to do the covenant things. I keep coming back to
Yes.
that. If we're in
He,
covenant, we're in covenant. Doesn't matter
yes.
the
It's
color of
his
our skin,
kingdom.
where we were
His
born. This is
yes, his
this is the
kingdom,
way we
his
do
rules.
it. Yeah.
You don't you want him to come back and be like feel at home when he comes back,
Not
and
to get
not
mad that nobody remembered what to do.
yeah, it's like he's here, what do we do? What do we do? Like, and it looks nothing like what he wants it to look like. And it's so crazy. But I've talked to my middle child, my son, about adoption. Like when you adopt a child, they haven't lived Torah. They haven't understood anything biblical at all. They don't even know Yahweh. But when you adopt them and you bring them into your home, you now get the opportunity to show them who you are as the man of the house,
Mm.
how to live in your home, what your rules are, and so that everybody can live in harmony and peace and not chaos and not safe environment. You want it to be a safe environment. So you teach them. It's no different when you come into Yah's kingdom. It's like this is how he does things. And that's not legalistic. That's you're showing them how to live in your home. That's it. And that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful opportunity to be able to show them he has a love language that he has explicitly shown us how to love him. But the world is so consumed with, but he loves me. And it's all about loving me and what he's done for me. And all those things are right and good. But no one ever talks about how to love Yahweh. And that needs to be our focus. And in fact, I'm kind of writing a little something, something on that I hope he gives me the time to finish. But I want to help people walk through understanding he wants us to love him this way.
Yeah,
And I,
not the ways of the world, not the way that
no,
other people worship their gods. He told us
no.
exactly how
Just
to.
showing up on Sunday morning is not what he's called you to do. And then go about your week. That's not what he's called us to do. As set apart, as believers, like if I told my son, if you adopt a child and they take your name, you want them to represent who you are in your family correctly. And so you're going to teach them how to do that. And that's what the law does for us coming into covenant with him. Now we get to show the world this is what a set apart follower looks like. This is what we do.
So it's so beautiful to hear you speak because when we do these testimonies, we don't always focus too much on Torah. Like I said, everybody is on that path at some point
Hmm.
that we've interviewed, but I can just see, um, I really hope that somebody who does not have much experience with Torah, that's a little bit curious, allow themselves to watch your testimony
I
because
hope so.
you're edifying it and you're showing your passion for it and you're showing how it is light and how it is only good. Go read Psalms
Go
119, guys. It's
yes,
only good
it's
stuff.
all there.
It's
Every
not the
bit of
weight of
it.
the law that you've been taught. It
It's
really is just a
not.
blessing. And
It's not.
so I do hope that I
I
know
do
that
too.
lots of people will watch
It's
it,
my
and I
prayer.
really hope that somebody stumbles upon this and just like has a moment of seeing how light you are and how much you love his Torah. That's like it's just
Yes.
evident
Yes.
that you're
Because that's the answer. That's the answer to all of it. And it's just like the scripture I shared in the beginning, like he is there and he has provided the entire way. And when you can look back on your journey and recognize whether you were in New Age, whether you did drugs and alcohol, whether you were, a Satanist, whatever, the hand of Yah has will be on you. If you've been called, the hand of God is on you, and he is providing every way possible to bring you back into his fold. And I'm so thankful for that. And the journey is fun and crazy, but I'm here for it. Whatever you got. And like just with my business, uh I always say he could take it away tomorrow and I would be okay with that. But whatever he's got, whatever door he opens, I'm walking through. I'm gonna do it. I love what I get to do. I will always have these on my shelf for my family, and I will always be able to provide for my grandbabies and my kids and my husband and my mom. When she had a bladder infection and the doctor couldn't help her and the antibiotics messed her system all up, we went to the oregano, and she was like, I was better in 2 days. And we had called the doctor, and she's like, well, I'm sick from the antibiotics, but this took it away. And so I'm here for my mom. I'm here for my family, and whatever door he opens for me, I will walk through. Some customers of mine were like, I've never done classes. They're like, you need to have a class where we can talk to you. And I was like, okay. So I scheduled it, and all these people showed up, and I was like, okay, didn't realize
yeah,
that was going to happen.
he's providing all of these awesome projects for you.
Yes, yes, and I'm so thankful. And so whatever it is, yes, I will do it, and we'll just see where it goes. And if you want to end it tomorrow, I'm okay with that. But like I'm just here for the fun and the ride and thankful for what he provides for us. I do believe that every plant has a purpose, and he created it. Just like how why would the creator of the universe care about what I ate? Exactly, why would he care what medicine, what you put into your body? Because he is the creator of the universe. And
Hallelujah.
he knew what he created, and he knew what we would need. And I'm here for it.
Thank you so much, Paula. It's such a pleasure to talk to you, and I cannot
Thank you.
wait again. Have a wonderful rest of your night, and
Thank you. You
see you
too.
super soon. Thank you.
We definitely will be talking more.
I can't wait.
Me too.
Bye.
Bye bye.